Have you ever wondered if it's possible to recognize a stroke before it actually happens? Once you're past 60 or 70, every little symptom in your body matters more than it used to. And the truth is, most strokes don't start with a loud warning. They begin quietly, subtly. Sometimes it's not pain or collapse. Sometimes it's just a slight change in the way you move, speak, or see the world around you. But if you know what to look for, your body is already sending signals, and catching them in time could change everything. In this video, we're going to talk about 7 early signs of stroke in the elderly that you should never ignore. These aren't rumors or guesses. They're real warning signs that doctors, neurologists, and years of medical research have identified as critical indicators of a potential stroke. You'll learn how to read your body and, more importantly, how to protect yourself or your loved ones before it's too late. Stay tuned until the end, because you might be overlooking small details that could mean the difference between full recovery and long-term disability, between living independently and needing help for the rest of your life. Once you know these signs, you'll have something most people don't a chance to act before the damage is done. Now let's get started. Sign 1. Sudden trouble speaking or understanding words. It doesn't have to be dramatic. A stroke doesn't always steal your voice all at once. It might just blur the edges. You're in the middle of a sentence, and suddenly the right word slips away. Or you hear someone talking, but the meaning feels scrambled. That's not just old age. That's a red flag. Imagine 2 men, Harold and Eugene. Both are 74. Harold has always loved storytelling. One morning, while chatting with his daughter on the phone, he suddenly pauses mid-sentence. He tries to say coffee, but what comes out is copper, coffle. He laughs it off, blaming it on tiredness or forgetting. But what he doesn't realize is his brain was sending a signal. Eugene, on the other hand, experienced something similar a few months earlier. His words felt jumbled for just a few minutes, and his wife noticed his sentences didn't make sense. Instead of ignoring it, they called for help. A quick hospital visit revealed a mini-stroke, a transient ischemic attack, TIA. That short episode was his body's way of whispering, "Act now, or next time might be worse." Doctors call this one of the most common early signs of stroke. It's also one of the easiest to dismiss. Many seniors brush it off as just getting older, or say they were distracted, anxious, or tired. But when speech becomes difficult out of nowhere, or words sound wrong in your ears, it's time to take it seriously. The ability to communicate is tied directly to brain function. And when the brain struggles, it doesn't always scream at whispers. It's up to us to listen. The good news? If caught early, treatment can reverse damage and prevent something much worse. But the clock is ticking. So if you or someone you love suddenly starts slurring words, struggling to finish a sentence, or misunderstanding simple conversation, don't wait. Call for help. Even if the symptoms pass in minutes, your brain just gave you a second chance. Don't waste it. If this insight has opened your eyes, leave a 1 in the comments below so we know you're still with us. And if you haven't yet, please subscribe and turn on notifications so you won't miss the next vital sign we're about to uncover. Now let's move on to another early sign of stroke that many people overlook but could make all the difference. Sign 2, sudden numbness or weakness, especially on one side. After understanding how your speech can suddenly slip away, there's another sign that's just as urgent and often just as subtle. Sudden numbness or weakness, especially if it's limited to one side of the body. It might be your arm, your leg, or even half your face. But when it strikes, even briefly, it's more than discomfort. It's your brain waving a red flag. Let's talk about Margaret and Irene. Both in their early 70s, both enjoying retirement. One afternoon, Margaret was folding laundry when she noticed her left arm felt oddly heavy. She couldn't grip the towel properly, and her hand felt clumsy, almost disconnected. But after a few minutes, the sensation faded. She didn't think much of it and kept going. Irene, on the other hand, had a similar episode just weeks before. She was eating dinner when her fork suddenly slipped from her hand. Her husband noticed that her smile looked a bit uneven, too. Concerned, he insisted they go to the hospital. It turned out that Irene had suffered a transient ischemic attack, a mini-stroke, and that small moment, caught in time, saved her from a major stroke that could have left her permanently paralyzed. The reason why numbness or weakness on one side is so significant is because of how strokes work. Most strokes affect just one side of the brain, and since each side controls the opposite half of the body, any sudden, unexplained weakness is often a direct reflection of brain trouble. It might feel like tingling, heaviness, or sudden clumsiness. You might notice difficulty raising one arm or trouble standing on one leg. And if your smile suddenly droops on one side, that's a hallmark sign that should never be ignored. Here's the key. If the symptom comes out of nowhere, and especially if it disappears quickly, don't let that fool you. Temporary doesn't mean harmless. It might be your one and only warning before a full stroke hits. The good news: time is your ally if you act fast. Doctors have treatments that can reverse stroke damage only if you catch it early enough, but every minute counts. So do this right now. Lift both your arms in front of you. Can you hold them evenly for 10 seconds? Does one drift down? If so, get checked. And if you've ever experienced strange numbness, a weak grip, or a heavy leg, don't brush it off. Your body is talking. Listen closely. If this sign feels like something you or someone you know has experienced, please leave a 2 in the comments below. It helps us know who's still here and reminds others to stay alert. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. Because up next, we'll uncover another stroke warning that hides in plain sight, often mistaken for stress or exhaustion. Sign 3, loss of balance or sudden trouble walking. After noticing weakness or numbness, especially on one side, the next sign often follows closely but is sometimes mistaken for something else entirely: a sudden loss of balance or unexplained difficulty walking. Most people don't think about balance until they start losing it. But when your body suddenly feels unsteady, when simple movements feel clumsy, or when walking across a room takes more effort than usual, it's not just about aging, it might be your brain sending an urgent signal. Take Helen and Joan, both 76. Helen walks her dog every morning, takes yoga classes twice a week, and can easily stand on one leg for a few seconds without wobbling. Joan, however, has never paid much attention to balance. One evening, she was walking to the kitchen and suddenly had to grab the wall. Her leg didn't feel weak, just unsure. She dismissed it as, "Maybe I got up too fast," and moved on. But 2 days later, Joan experienced the same thing again, and this time, she fell. A trip to the ER confirmed what had been quietly building. She had suffered a minor stroke. The balance issue wasn't just physical, it was neurological. Her brain had momentarily lost its ability to coordinate movement, and her body had tried to compensate. Doctors have found that sudden loss of balance or dizziness, especially when combined with other signs like weakness, trouble speaking, or vision changes, can be one of the earliest and most overlooked symptoms of stroke. That's because strokes often affect the parts of the brain that control coordination and spatial awareness. Here's something powerful. Your ability to stand on one leg for 10 seconds is actually a simple predictor of neurological health. If you struggle to stay upright, or if you've noticed more stumbles, missteps, or unsteadiness, don't write it off as clumsiness. It could be your brain trying to keep up under pressure. The good news is that balance can be improved. Gentle exercises like standing on one foot, walking heel to toe in a straight line, or practicing Tai Chi can restore control and prevent further decline. But more importantly, if balance issues appear suddenly or feel different than usual, don't wait. Seek help. Try this right now. Stand up. Lift one foot just a few inches off the ground. Can you hold it without grabbing a chair or wall? If not, take it seriously. The more you train your balance today, the more stable your health will be tomorrow. If you found this helpful, type a 3 in the comments so we know you're still watching. And if you haven't yet, hit subscribe and turn on notifications. In the next section, we'll look at a warning sign that hides in plain sight every night and what your sleep might be telling you about your brain. Sign 4. Sudden trouble, sleeping, or extreme fatigue. After we've looked at balance and movement, it's time to turn inward to something quieter, something we often overlook: how well we sleep. Because sometimes the first sign that your brain is under distress doesn't come while you're awake, it comes while you're trying to rest. Sleep is more than just closing your eyes. It's when your body repairs cells, regulates your immune system, and most importantly, clears waste and toxins from your brain. But if you've recently started tossing and turning more than usual, waking up multiple times during the night, or feeling unusually exhausted even after hours in bed, Your body might be trying to tell you something important. Let's meet two men, Henry and Bill, both in their mid-70s. Henry has a consistent bedtime routine. He sleeps around 7 hours each night and wakes up alert and refreshed. Bill, on the other hand, has been struggling with rest. He falls asleep quickly, but keeps waking up. His nights feel long, broken, and frustrating. Over time, Bill starts noticing more than just fatigue. His memory feels cloudy, he's more irritable, and his blood pressure starts to fluctuate for no clear reason. What Bill doesn't realize is that his declining sleep quality might be connected to early signs of neurological disruption, including the early stages of a possible stroke. Sleep disturbances are commonly reported before and after a stroke, especially when the brain's ability to regulate breathing, circulation, or stress hormones is affected. Now, it's important not to panic if you've had a few bad nights. That happens to all of us. But when poor sleep becomes a pattern, and especially when combined with other symptoms like fatigue, confusion, or changes in balance, it's worth paying attention. So what can you do? Start with the basics. Reduce screen time an hour before bed. Stick to a regular schedule. Get some natural sunlight in the morning, and avoid heavy meals late at night. These simple steps can dramatically improve how well you sleep and how well your brain functions because of it. Tonight, as you prepare for bed, ask yourself, am I truly resting or just lying still? Am I waking up energized or already tired? Because how you sleep isn't just about comfort, it's about protection, and your brain depends on it. If you've been struggling with sleep lately or know someone who has, drop a 4 in the comments below to let us know you're still watching and still learning. And don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications, because in the next segment, we'll uncover a warning sign that's often mistaken for just normal aging, but could be the brain's early cry for help. Sign 5, sudden loss of appetite or changes in eating habits. After sleep, the next signal your body might send you often shows up on your plate, or more precisely, what's not on your plate. A sudden loss of appetite, unexpected weight loss, or changes in the way you eat could point to more than just a change in taste. It may be your brain's subtle way of calling for help. Meet Margaret and Susan, both 74. Margaret still enjoys her meals. She prepares her own food, eats a variety of colorful fruits and vegetables, and maintains a healthy appetite. She looks forward to sitting down and savoring dinner each night. Susan, however, has noticed that eating has become more of a chore than a pleasure. She skips meals, picks at her food, and relies more on processed snacks. Over the past year, she's lost weight without trying, and she's not sure why. What Susan doesn't realize is that these quiet changes may not just be digestive, they could be neurological. In some elderly adults, a stroke, especially one affecting certain brain regions, can interfere with appetite, taste, chewing coordination, or the motivation to eat altogether. In fact, studies show that decreased appetite or changes in eating habits are sometimes early symptoms of small, undetected strokes called silent strokes that slowly affect brain function over time. Of course, not every skipped meal is a crisis, but when your eating patterns change suddenly, and especially if you begin to lose weight without trying, it's worth paying close attention. A loss of appetite can lead to muscle weakness, frailty, and lower energy, all of which increase your risk of injury and make recovery from illness much harder. The good news is that you can turn things around. Start by being intentional about nutrition. Focus on whole, nutrient-dense foods. Eat small but regular meals. Stay hydrated. And perhaps most importantly, don't ignore your body's whispers. If you feel full too quickly, lose interest in food, or start eating much less than usual, it's time to talk to a doctor. So ask yourself, are you still enjoying your meals? Are you getting enough fuel to keep your body strong and your brain sharp? Or have your habits quietly shifted in ways you didn't notice? If this spoke to you, leave a 5 in the comments to let us know you're still with us. And don't forget to subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss the next sign. Because coming up next, we'll explore a symptom that hides not in the body, but in the mind, often mistaken for worry or sadness, but sometimes something far more serious. Sign 6, sudden mood swings or emotional instability. After physical symptoms like poor sleep and appetite changes, stroke can begin to show up where we least expect it in your emotions. If you've noticed sudden mood swings, increased irritability, or feelings of sadness or confusion that seem to come out of nowhere. It may not just be getting older or having a bad day. It could be something much deeper. Let's take a closer look at two men, Frank and Roger, both 76. Frank has always been calm and steady. Lately, however, he finds himself snapping at his wife over small things, tearing up during commercials, and feeling deeply discouraged without understanding why. He brushes it off as just getting more emotional with age. Roger, on the other hand, had a similar shift, but his daughter noticed. He began withdrawing from conversations, showing less interest in his favorite hobbies, and getting overwhelmed easily by simple tasks. She gently urged him to visit a doctor. Imaging revealed he'd experienced a minor stroke affecting emotional regulation areas of his brain, and the good news? Because they caught it early, his treatment helped him recover most of his cognitive and emotional stability. The truth is, our emotions are just as tied to the brain as our speech or movement. When a stroke affects certain regions, it can cause subtle but meaningful changes in how we feel, react, and connect with others. Mood swings, depression, sudden anxiety, or feeling like something just isn't right can all be part of this picture, especially if they appear suddenly and without clear reason. It's important not to ignore what feels out of character. If you or someone you love becomes unusually short-tempered, easily overwhelmed, or seems emotionally off, don't dismiss it. Emotional health is neurological health. The good news is, like any other part of stroke care, early recognition is key. Talk to your doctor, journal what you're feeling, and involve your loved ones. They often notice what you can't. And never underestimate the power of laughter, movement, social connection, and spiritual reflection in restoring emotional resilience. So ask yourself, have you felt more irritable than usual, more tearful, detached, or anxious without knowing why? If the answer is yes, don't be ashamed. Be proactive. If this sign resonated with you, please leave a 6 in the comments so we know you're still here and paying attention to every layer of your well-being. And don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications, because in the final segment, we'll reveal the most silent stroke warning of all, the one hidden in your social life. Sign 7, social withdrawal or sudden isolation. After mood changes, there's one more sign that often hides in plain sight, pulling away from people. If someone who was once social, engaged, or even just conversational suddenly becomes withdrawn, distant, or disconnected, it may not just be a personality shift. It could be the brain's quiet way of signaling that something is wrong. Let's consider Eleanor and Barbara, both 78. Eleanor still keeps in touch with her old friends, goes to her local book club, and enjoys Sunday dinners with family. Her laughter is warm, her energy contagious. Barbara, however, has gradually slipped into isolation. She doesn't return calls like she used to. She no longer attends church or neighborhood events, and even though her daughter checks in, their conversations feel shorter, colder, and more strained. At first, it seems like Barbara is just getting tired or needing more rest. But beneath that withdrawal, something more serious is unfolding. Some strokes, especially silent strokes, can affect memory, motivation, and social cognition, making everyday interaction feel overwhelming or meaningless. What looks like apathy might be confusion. What feels like loneliness might actually be neurological disruption. Loneliness isn't just an emotion, it's a physical condition that can weaken the immune system, raise blood pressure, and increase the risk of heart disease and dementia. But when social withdrawal appears suddenly, without a clear emotional trigger or a life event, it's time to look deeper. The good news? You don't need a crowd to stay connected. One good friend, a weekly phone call, joining a small group, or even a daily walk with a neighbor. These simple acts keep your brain engaged and your spirit alive. Social interaction stimulates mental activity, lowers stress hormones, and supports the brain's ability to regulate and recover. So ask yourself or someone you love, have you stopped reaching out, avoided calls, lost interest in connecting, even with people you care about? If that change came quickly and you can't quite explain why, don't brush it off. It might be more than a mood, it might be a message. If this resonated with you, type a 7 in the comments so we know you've made it to the final sign. And be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications, because next we'll wrap everything up with a message you don't want to miss. How to take action today, even if you've seen just one of these signs. Now that you've seen these 7 early signs, take a moment, just a quiet moment for yourself. Reflect on where you are right now. Are you moving through life with clarity and connection? Or have you started to notice small shifts, subtle but persistent changes in your speech, your strength, your sleep, or even your spirit? The truth is, stroke doesn't always arrive with sirens. Sometimes it whispers. But the good news is, most of the signs we've covered: your balance, your appetite, your sleep, your mood, your social ties, are things you can influence, things you can strengthen, and things you can change starting today. Your future is not locked in. It is shaped every day by the choices you make now. So don't wait for a diagnosis or a crisis. Take that short walk, strengthen your legs, get restful sleep, eat nourishing foods, call someone you've lost touch with, laugh a little more, breathe a little deeper, and most importantly, listen when your body speaks. Because this isn't just about avoiding a stroke. It's about living a life that feels whole, a life where you stay sharp, connected, mobile, and joyful. At the end of the day, longevity isn't measured only in years. It's measured in the quality of the days you still have ahead. We'd love to hear from you. What was one thing you learned today that surprised or resonated with you? Drop a comment below and share your thoughts. It helps us, and it might help someone else too. And if you found this video helpful, please like, subscribe, and share it with someone you care about. Your support allows us to continue creating content that informs, encourages, and empowers. Thank you for spending time with us today. Stay aware, stay strong, and we'll see you in the next video.